In this video, I wanted to showcase an app that I actually haven't done any videos on yet, and it's one of my favorite, and that is Google Keep. So, really, Google Keep is very simple to use, so I'm pretty much going to do everything in one big video, and once you know what the basic commands are, then it's pretty much go from there. So how do you get to Google Keep? There are a couple ways that you can do that. The first way is to type in keep.google.com, and that will open up Keep that's associated with whatever Google account that you are signed in with at that time. The other way that you can access Google Keep is if you are in any Google app and you see those 9 squares. If you click on that, Google Keep is one of the apps. Now you might not have yours customized so that you can see Keep, but if you say more, Keep will be one of those options. You can click on that and it will take you to keep.google.com. Same place, same information. It's just 2 ways to get there. Alright, so there's lots of things you can do. We want to take a note. To take a note in Google Keep, at the very top, there's going to be something that says, hey, take a new note. And this is where you can take your note. Once you are in there, you can change the title of your note if you want. And then when you're done with your note, when you're done typing in the things that you want to type in, then you can just say done, and your note is done. It will resize it based on how much information is in the note as well as how many notes you have. So on my other account, I have tons of notes, so usually they look a little bit different. So once you have a note in there, if you click on the note, you can click and drag it anywhere. So I'm going to add in a second note. That means that I can change the order of my notes. I really like this because I want my to-do list to always be the first note that I see, and now just dragging and dropping allows me to change the order of those notes. Another thing you can do to help see your notes is to change what type of view you have. Right now, this is called the grid view, and that takes all of your notes and it sort of meshes them in as best that it can to make all of your notes show up in the smallest area. You can also change to list view. So that's up at the top right hand corner, and you'll see those 2 bars. So list view just gives you all your notes in a list, one on top of the other on top of the other. And so that has a little bit more scrolling associated with it, but it is a little bit more laid out so that you're not sort of going back and forth. Because grid view, I'm going to switch back to it, doesn't necessarily align all the tops with each other because we can have a note right there in that extra empty space. So those are the 2 views that you have, grid view and list view. Another thing that can help you kind of note which note you're looking at is by changing the color. So notice when you hover over a note, there's lots of things that come up, and I'm going to explain each of those things, but we're going to start with color. So if you go over the color palette, you can change the color of a note. Oop, there we go. And I want this one to be red because I want it to stand out. I can change the color of this note too. I'm going to make that one blue. And you can customize however it is you want. Maybe you want your personal things to be in one color and your work things to be in another color. So that sort of leads me to my next thing. What if you have personal notes and work notes in the same Keep account? You want to keep them separate. One thing that you can do is you can add labels to your notes. To add a label to your note, you click on the 3 dots, that's more, and you click on Add Label. If you already have labels created, then you can just click on those labels and they're there. Or you can just add in more labels. So I'm going to type in personal. Alright, create that. And that has the tag of personal. On this other one, I'm going to add a tag for work. Create that one. note when you click on them, it opens up more edit mode so you can change it, but you can still access all of those same tools. I'm going to add a third note. This one's not going to have a title. And I'm going to add both labels because I'm going to show you something in just a second. You can add as many labels as you want or as few labels as you want. You don't even need to have a label on it, but sometimes that can help your sorting when you are looking for just particular types of information, which leads into our next thing. Let's look at that sidebar. The sidebar always shows up right when you come to, when you open up Keep by going to keep.google.com. You can always hide it by just clicking on that main menu up at the top left corner, and that allows you to see more notes on the page. But if you'll click on that sidebar, there's a lot of great stuff in here. First off, you can view just notes that you have, or you can also view notes that have reminders associated with them, and I'll show you that in just a second. You can also view only particular labels. So this is why I changed the labels and added an extra note. I'm going to click on personal, and what that does is only show me the notes that have personal. If I click on work, it will only show me the notes that have work tagged with it. Can also create new labels here if I would like to do that there instead of within an actual note. And then you can just click on notes to go back to all of your notes. Also in this sidebar archives, if you want to archive notes, you can keep those there and access them that way. You can look at your trash. It will save your trash like it normally saves trash in any Google app. You also have a couple of settings, not a lot, but a couple. So I'm going to click on those. It just is basically about where do you add things and when do you want your reminders and how do you want to have link previews show up. So those are, again, are just kind of some personal things. You can send feedback, get some help, download the app for your phone or tablet, and then it also gives you some keyboard shortcuts. So the sidebar is pretty handy if you utilize those labels a lot. If you don't, then you might want to close it so you can see more notes in the middle. So let's make some more interesting notes. These are kind of boring notes. Right now I have this note and all it has is some text in it, but I can also add some more things to it. So if I open that note up, you'll see that I have an extra icon here that says Add Image. I can add an image to my note, just clicking on that, and I can select any image that I want. Let's see, here's a screenshot. I'm going to add that. So they're added in my image. I can remove it by hitting the trash button. There it is. That's beautiful. I'm going to say done. And it resizes it so that it fits within that grid system, but when I open up the note, I'll be able to look at it large. One note is that images always get added to the top. All right, I'm going to go into another one. If you click on the 3 vertical dots, there's another option for adding not just an image, but adding a drawing. This is cool for those people who like to use sketch notes and things like that. If you click add a drawing palette opens up and you can take notes, add a sketch of something, you can erase. You have a few different tools and highlights and things like that. That gives you some limited but still kind of cool access to tools for drawings. There's a few options you have associated with your drawing, but once you're done you can go back to your note, you can say I'm done, and again it adds that image to the top of my note. Alright, so what's another thing I can do with notes? I talked about to-do lists. I use to-do lists a lot, and one thing I like to do on my to-do list is I like to have checkboxes. So you can start a note with checkboxes right away by just, when you go to take a note at the top, click New List, and that will start a note with list items for you. And you'll notice that those checkboxes appear, as well as an option to drag the order If you want to change your shopping list order or you want to change your to-do list order, you can drag and drop those. When you're done, you'll see them show up in your note, and as you accomplish them, you can just click in the checkbox and it will scratch them out. To actually delete those things from your note, you have to go into edit mode, but you can delete them as well. Sometimes it's nice to see all those things you accomplished. If you have a note that you've already started and you want to change it to checkboxes, you can click Show Checkboxes under those 3 vertical dots for more, and that will put checkboxes in with whatever text you have in there based on the enters you have. So whatever paragraphs you have, it will take that text and make them list items, and then they work like any other list. Now, I have a to-do list, and let's say my to-do list is also with my team. I want to share my to-do list with the whole team. I can share my notes just like I can share any file in Google Drive. To do that, you click on the little collaborator icon, and then you type in whoever it is that you want to share it with. Notice that you can't share notes with everybody in the whole wide world or send links to them and that kind of stuff, but you can at least type in those people. So I'm going to type in myself. There we go, and I'm going to save it. So that means that if I'm in that other account, I'm going to have access to this note and be able to edit this note. One thing I won't be able to do is delete this note for everybody. I could delete it on one account, but this note is associated with this account, which means this is the owner, which means I'm the only one who can fully delete it. Also, while we're in there, if we want to talk about these little icons, I have a couple icons left. In addition to sharing, you can archive your notes. What archiving is going to do is just like any archiving, it's going to permanently save that note, but it's going to save it elsewhere, so you don't have to see it, but you can always access it later. Remember that you can get to your archive by going over to that sidebar. Another cool thing about Google Keep are reminders. Obviously, you have a to-do list, you probably want to have a reminder. Now, these aren't very robust in terms of the details you can include in them. Calendar has a lot more reminder features that you might want to look into, but it is kind of cool. I'm going to click on that little finger, and I have some options. So later today, tomorrow, next week, I can also, once I pick something, I can go in and I can customize it a little bit more, not necessarily use that time. There we go, custom, and I can add a particular time. I can have it repeat if it's something that I need to do a lot. That's pick date and time. I can also have it remind me if I'm in a particular place. So that sort of comes down to the big crucial feature with reminders is that reminders are associated with the phone app. So all my Keep notes show up on my phone because on my phone I'm logged into the same Google account. So if my phone is in a particular place, a reminder I set either on my computer or on my phone is going to beep at me and give me a notification on the phone. It doesn't do anything for you on your computer. So it's not going to send you an email, it's not going to beep at you, it's only on that phone that it's working. So that's something to keep in mind if you set a reminder and you go, what happened? You might need to make sure that you're accessing things with the Keep app on your phone. You can download that and from the sidebar too. All right, so a couple more things we can do with Keep. I know it's amazing, isn't it? Something else we can do, just like any Google app, is up at the top there's a search bar. And when you click in the search bar, it opens up some specific things for you. It opens up types of things. I want to see everything that has an image associated with it, or I want to see all these labels. I want to see only red notes. And so on and so forth. So this is where using those other features can come in handy, is because you can search by those things. You can also search by words. So typing in those words will allow certain notes to come up, and whenever you're done searching, you can access those notes or just X and get back to your notes. There we go. And let's see, what else can we talk about? Copying notes. We can copy a note by clicking on More and saying Make a Copy, and then it just makes another note for us. The note looks exactly the same, and we can customize it from there. Now, the last couple things I wanted to show you, I saved you because they're associated with other apps. So one of the very, very cool things that is a pretty new feature is that you can now convert these notes into Google Documents. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to click on the drop down, and I'm going to say Copy to Google Doc. What that does is that takes my note, and it takes the text and everything in my note, and it moves it into a Google Doc. So maybe I have a note that's gotten so big and we want to change it into an agenda, or we want to change it into an action plan. I can just convert it instead of having to copy paste or having to retype. And you can access it directly from your drive, or it has a nice little quick link for you. So I'm going to utilize that. I didn't have a title on my note, so, oh no, I didn't have my title of my note, so that showed up. Now, this is very cool. It actually gave me a reminder to let you guys know about the second thing associated with Google Docs. I'm going to say no thanks for now. Now that I'm in Docs, I'm going to show you the last thing associated with Keep and Docs. This is my new note that's been transferred into a document, but this last tip is something that works both on any Google Doc or one that came from a Keep note. If you go into Tools, you go down to Keep Notepad, it is going to open up your Google Keep notes in a sidebar in your Google Doc. What's really cool is that from here, first off, you can see all your things, so that's handy in that you can work and see them. The other thing you can do is you can drag and drop notes directly into your Google document, which is awesome. So that's something that you definitely want to think about using. And if you are done with whatever you want to copy and paste, you can just close that sidebar and you're back to normal. Again, how cool was that? I just dragged and dropped it, didn't even need to convert it to a document. So that's where using that Keep Notepad is very handy. So the very last thing I wanted to show you was I've been accessing Keep through keep.google.com. That's the site, the website you can go to no matter what device you're on, and as long as you're logged into your Google account, you can get to it. You can also get a Chrome web app, and that opens Keep a little bit differently. So I did want to show you. So you go to the web store, and you can get that web app. You can also get an extension that allows you to make notes really quickly. But if I access this via the app, what it's going to do is it's going to open it up in a new window. It sort of gives me a panel. This is cool because you can, make it a sidebar for yourself if you have a window open, and you can put your keeps on the other side. It actually looks a lot like Google Keep looks on the phone, in that the notes, if you have the window small enough, the notes are all aligned on top of each other, and the main menu opens up to the side. So the differences aren't any different in terms of what you can do, it's just different in terms of how it looks on your screen. So those are all sorts of fabulous things about Google Keep, and I know it was a lot all in one, but really that's it. Now you know everything you need to know in order to maximize your efficiency by utilizing this amazing Notes app.